Welcome to the show where 3 generations of family go head to head on a variety of topics. You got 1 Gen X, Kaya, 1 Millennial, Noe, and 1 Gen Z, Chris. No matter what the topic, you can bet it's going to be up for debate. Hello, one and all, and welcome to the first episode of the new season of the Melanin Movement. Father, as always, I got my peoples here with me. I am Kaya, aka the Melanin Maven, and I'm here with my peeps, my family, Noe B, the Millennial, and Chris shot it, that Gen Z. Sidebar, Gen Zs ain't been doing well. They've ain't been doing too good lately, but that's besides the point. But if you're new here, make sure that you subscribe and click that notification button so that you will be notified every time a new video comes. And if you are a debater to the core, welcome back. We love you. And we love those comments. So, fellas, how are you?
Good.
Can't complain.
Still waiting on my tooth.
I'm gonna. You know what I'm saying?
No, we don't know what you're saying.
Word, I was about to say.
Yeah. No, he's obviously going to the gym, and he wants everybody to know. If that was the case, you should have wore a tighter shirt. Anyway, today's debate is the Trump saga. Are there 2 Americas, and should Trump be running? Should he be able to be in the running after all that has come out about him this year?
Just this year?
I think it's come to a zenith this year.
Great word.
You know, huh?
I said great word. That was...
Oh, well, thank you. I tried. I think it's come to a zenith this year, and he has definitely outdid himself. You know how they say my competition is me? He's only in competition with himself. I think if anybody that was that orange and did the things that he did, they would have called him a Negro. They would have called him a Negro by now. Huh?
No, I'm saying with that in mind, you mentioned this idea of 2 Americas, right? So if we can kick off the debate with actually breaking down or even defining what that even means for our viewership for this particular conversation.
Okay, so basically, when we say 2 Americas, we're not talking about A-M-E-R-I-C-A. We're talking about A-M-E-R-I-K-K-K-A. Because there are Black people that are still in jail from selling weed. And now it's legal in most of the country. The FDA is actually, not the FDA, the HHS is trying to make it a level 3 drug and not a level 1. But people still locked up. Ray Ray Pookie and them is still locked up over selling or getting caught with a bag of weed. Trump literally was driven by motorcade to the Fulton County Jail, where another inmate just died. This is the 15th inmate that has died in this particular jail since July. Okay? And Trump was able to take his motorcade, take his private plane, land there, go get his mugshot, which he's now using for merchandise purposes. He's selling his mugshot like Can't Stop, Won't Stop. You know what I'm talking about? He out here at a Bad Boy concert selling merchandise. But yet, Young Thug, also another Black male that was a part of the coup on Stop the Steal and saying that election was a fraud. He's also in jail right now and cannot afford an attorney. So he's in jail and has been in jail since he was indicted because he cannot afford a private attorney to get him out.
So you're speaking to the America, so to speak, of you know, racial intensity or racial disparities rather. Right. So how would you define the counterpart to that, being that you said there were two, right? So what would be the other America, quote unquote, in this case?
Well, I just ran through the two. Trump was able to come with his motorcade in
Right?
a private jet, come get his mugshot, and then go back home in his private jet. But Young Thug, who was indicted, he is still in jail. The gentleman,
I see what you're saying.
you
Gotcha.
understand what I'm saying? The
Okay.
the coloreds have a different outcome, but for the same crime or the same charge. You understand?
Okay. Yep. Got it.
I think this is the case where like I guess the skin tone, I think rings more prevalent just for the fact that, I mean, granted, Trump is a billionaire. I mean, Young Thug is a rich rapper. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like money going into this was really an issue and all that other stuff. So when you kind of just see the handling of it, like the only thing you could kind of point to is the skin tone, because technically, if I'm not mistaken, not technically, but if I'm not mistaken, Donald Trump is well past um, Young Thug in the amount of indictments and charges. Because we're talking about Donald Trump having 4 indictments, 2 state, 2 federal, and 91 felony charges. I don't even understand how you get 91 felony charges. Like, you just have to be operating on a different level for that.
So, Young Thug, he has RICO charges along with Gunna YSL and 26 other associate members as members of a criminal street gang called the YSL, obviously. For example, let me put it like this: the young man that was targeted in Kenosha, and cops came in assuming that he was the perpetrator that was involved in a hit and run. He was totally innocent. And the cops literally did him over in the restaurant. And they found out that he was not the person that they, in fact, were looking for. But yet, he still has charges against him. And Jay-Z had to step in and get legal help for him so that he could beat these charges. It was found that he was not the person. But even though it was found that he is not the person, we all know what happened in Kenosha with Jacob Blake. And what's the young dude with the booger nose that traveled over 2 states, that his mother drove him 2 states over to quote unquote protect the city? Rittenhouse, Kyle Rittenhouse.
Yeah.
But he gets applauded and has a red carpet pulled out for him, and he has so many donators. His legal fund surpassed millions, and they're applauding him as a hero because he came to a Black Lives Matter march and shot people because he was but he don't live in that state. His mama dropped him 2 states over with a gun, and he point blank range shooting people that died. But he's applauded as a hero. Now, anybody that shot somebody in Chicago or in Brownsville, they're a thug. They're a menace to society. You understand what I'm saying?
So if I can interject here, if what I'm getting from essentially the notion of the debate is that the playing field for things that we get held accountable for should be level.
Yeah.
Right. But what I pose to you, I guess, in question form would be, what's the realistic expectation here, right? Because
equity.
Agreed, right? But let's say the realistic expectation. The only reason I add that word in that put significance on that word is because historically, right? If you look at just how Black people as a whole have been treated, people of color, won't even, make it exclusive to Black people, but if you look at how people of color have been treated historically, we have not been treated as citizens, right? Because why would there be a need for new legislation for civil rights or, things of that nature to accommodate us if we were already citizens or treated like citizens, if that makes sense, right?
That's why equity is
Right, but
the operative word.
if we're still governed by the same system that have put these added laws into place to accommodate us, then what's the realistic expectation? You know what I'm saying? Is it to add more, or implement new legislation or laws or something like that, or you know what I'm saying? Because if we're, like I said, if we're still governed by the same system that doesn't view us as first class citizens, whatever that means, right? What's the realistic expectation moving forward?
I mean, to me, it's an interesting question because I think the realistic expectation in my eyes is for there to be equality in, you know, legislation, court proceedings, and different things like that. So, you know what I'm saying? Like, if you shoot somebody and I shoot somebody and it was both out of self defense, then you should try that the same way. Like, yo, somebody broke in, they tried to steal, they tried to do this, we defended ourselves. It's the same situation, right? But you see things like, you know, this white kid went and raped 10 girls and then, you know, he had a scholarship to go swim and whatever the case may be. And the judge is just like, hey, this kid has a future. So we're just going to give him, you know, 6 months in house arrest for 2 weeks. Black dude, you know what I'm saying, was wrestling with a friend and they got hurt or whatever the case may be. He's getting tried as an adult at 15 and he's doing 10 years in prison. To me, the expectation, like, I'm not lowering my expectation, my realistic expectation. You know what I'm saying? For any, I'm gonna be like, yo, my expectation is that y'all will do the right thing. Whether you do that or not, that's whatever. But that's my expectation, especially when you live in a system that will also come to you and talk about progress, that'll talk about, you know, things are changing and, you know, we're moving forward and we're doing better and all this other stuff. Cool. Well, if we're doing better and things are changing, then my expectation is this will be handled the right way or whatever the case may be. Like, it can't be. I totally understand, you know what I'm saying, like things like, you know, I don't want to say favoritism or nepotism, but I understand having friends in high places. I understand being connected. Those are things that apply, you know what I'm saying? If your network is crisp and whatever, I understand that. Those things apply across the board from top to bottom. But to me, it's just the simple, like, you can't do certain things. You cannot have 4 indictments, 91 felonies, and still have your name on the ballot for presidency. But then a dude who took 2 t-shirts at a Walmart can't get a job for the rest of his life anymore. You know what I'm saying? Like, it just, the imbalance is so drastic that it just doesn't make sense. If that, you know what I'm saying? Like, so to me, the realistic expectation in my mind, the way I look at it is like, yo, these niggas got to do, like, yeah, my expectation is for you to be better if you're telling me things are getting better. If that makes sense.
I agree. I agree totally. However, I'm not one that is just like, oh, you know, we need to, and I'm not saying anything is wrong with marching. I honestly, with every fiber of my being, feel that money is the answer because the powers that be that are billionaires and they hold the puppet strings to the American government, they can literally shoot somebody on Fifth Avenue and not be charged. But just like the Sackler family that is literally responsible for killing hundreds of thousands of people through OxyContin, and had none of them saw a day in jail. None of them saw a handcuff. None of them saw any type of, and they still haven't even paid out the settlement that they have against them for the misrepresentation of OxyContin and them literally lying to doctors saying that it wasn't something that would be addictive, and you know what I'm saying. But all of them, besides everybody, if like the Madoff family, like people know who the Madoff family is, like in their town, and disassociating themselves with them, and the town pariah, that would be the only form of retribution that we have, because it's so evident how this family legally was able to kill all of these people. The FDA co-signed the label on the Oxycontin so that they would be able to sell it to doctors, and doctors then administer it to patients, and patients get addicted and die from it, from the addiction, because it's more powerful than morphine. Now, anybody that knows me knows that I've had more than my fair share of surgery and more than my fair share of opioids. And it's nothing but the grace of God that I have not been strung out on drugs because of people like the Sackler family. But you have our family included that have had drug misdemeanors or drug felonies, and they were literally put away. But this family, because of the fact that they knew somebody in the White House, and they literally called the president, which was Bush at the time, when they was about to go down, it was like, change this deal, tell the DOJ to tell this DA that this can't happen. And they literally got a slap on the wrist. They have to pay a payout, a class action lawsuit payout to the families of those that were impacted. But yet, Ray Ray and Pookie and them that sold drugs on the corner and got roughed up by cops, and because of the fact that they look like we do, are serving time still. Their grandmothers were serving life sentences for their first offense. But Trump was able to come on his jet, come in his motorcade, go get his mugshot that he could pose for, use his merchandise, and go back to his palatial estate. So I feel that money is the only way. Money and power.
And money and power is what you believe will tip the scales in our favor for pretty much every facet of society and culture within America, right? But if we could speak more to that, because it's already obvious for those that are aware of it that, you know, there's a constant moving of the goalpost for us in everything that we do, right? Once we achieve a certain level, then they move it farther and say you have to work 10% harder to get here now. You know what I mean? So in terms of influencing change, right, especially within the judicial system, my personal belief, and then I'll hand this over to you guys, my personal belief is that no change that will happen for us is going to happen peacefully. In order for us to make things happen, or in order for us to have things, you know, work to our favor, we have to move the hand as opposed to expecting that they'll do it on their own volition.
Because that's why so many white people purchase firearms.
Right.
In the amount that they do.
Because if we move within the guidelines that they've set for us, we're playing that game. We're playing their game. Right. So
you'll make progress, but I think it'll be like severely incremental progress versus it'll almost be like they're moving at this pace while you're kind of like here, but they're just, you know what I'm saying? It's like 10 to 1. You know what I'm saying? So
the proportion stays the same as if, you know, you take that route, because if they're moving and we're moving at the same time, you know, you're progressing, so to speak, but we're never gonna.
But you'll never catch up.
You'll never catch up. You know what I'm saying? So is that really progress, or is it an illusion of progress?
I think for us, I think the thing that makes Black people, or if Black people, people of color, I'm going with Black people. I think what makes them, I don't know if I would say feared, is I think we've done a good job of, even though it was set to be like this 10 step to 1 step, you know what I'm saying, like constant moving thing where you'll never catch up. I feel like somehow we've been able to jump steps, and then it's just like, yo, something's got to change drastically. Like and then you kind of widen the gap again, or something changes and it's back to here. Then we try and get to here, and then it's like, so you know what I'm saying. I feel like obviously it's the same like game that you're talking about. One, I think the thing that you just said that I agree with, and I've thought about this, like when you see like innocent people getting shot in the streets or any type of injustice and whatever, like in my mind as of late, I've kind of felt like, yo, I don't even know if like a regular riot is like good enough. Like you have to be
Alabama.
on some like, oh my bad, go ahead.
No, go ahead. Sorry, you have to be on something
Like you gotta be, yo, white people were on this, yo, we're going to the Capitol building. Like you have to be
Right,
that
right,
bold,
right,
like,
right.
yo. And you also have to be smart, like in a sense, like, yo, don't go and destroy your community. If you trying to send a message of some sort, like you got to go to their community where you know, like, yeah, we out here now. Like these dudes went to DC to the Capitol building and was just like, nigga, we coming up in here. Like you gotta just, you have to have, if you can't match that level of boldness, that level of like, I don't care, like I don't like what happened. And nothing even happened. They just didn't like the fact that they lost an election and felt the need to storm the Capitol. Like there was no injustice. They just didn't like something, just didn't like the outcome of something.
they didn't lose the election. The election was stolen.
You know what I'm saying? Like you lost the election was stolen. You didn't like it. You didn't agree with the outcome of something. So then you had some insane reaction to it and went and stormed the Capitol building. Like,
Right, 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 right.
come on, man. Like, if we're not moving like that, then we really not doing anything at all.
Absolutely.
In my opinion, Birmingham, Alabama was the nightmare of all white people in America. Because once that hat went up from the co-captain and he sent out the bat signal, and there were some of us, a lot of us, that were just recording. But then there was a lot of us that the ancestors came down, because in that same port was used to sell and buy us over a century ago. So the ancestors had total control. Let me tell you something. And what happened was white people's nightmare. Like that's their fear. That is their biggest fear, that we won't just want equity, we want to get even. That we want revenge for everything that they have done for centuries in this country. And the fact that there are so many different sects of us within the country. There's those that believe in the Trump train. There are those that believe, that are so busy worrying about whether or not Jay-Z and Beyonce is in the Illuminati, they can't focus on us coming together. There are those that are like, that ain't my problem. That ain't my problem. And there are those that would rather twerk and you know, do I'm just here to have fun. You know what I'm saying? And there are those that are like, all right, we need to do something. We need to pull together and make something happen. Now, in every movement, there are different factions of it. And if we're willing to work together, like we saw in Alabama, because there was some town criers, because there was them town criers made sure they told the police, it wasn't them, it was her. She was over there instigating too. Hey, I'll show you my phone, officer. There was town criers. There was people on the ground. There was the army. You know, there was foot soldiers. There was the technological people on the side, you know, making sure everything was good with the video, making sure that they had play-by-play of what was going on. And then you had the folding chair wielders. And those folding chair wielders, I was with them. I was with him until he hit the lady. You had different people within the movement, but they all work together. And that shows that it can be done.
But if you could circle back to that in terms of you saying in order to affect change, there has to be a monetary facet to it, right? But
We need lobbyists.
absolutely,
The NRA is probably the most influential lobbyist group within this country.
Right.
Because you can literally kill children, and I mean children.
Well, before we go there, because that's a pretty heavy concept in terms of the NRA. But I propose this to you guys. So in terms of, like I said, this whole "to America" concept, right? A counter argument being we're actually living in the same America. There's really, no disparity between the two. It's all the same thing, right? So even if you were to progress into a single America, right, conceptually, which would be equity and everybody being treated the same way, that would have to include racism as a concept being eradicated from the country, right? But
which we know that's never going to happen,
right, which is the undertone of what I'm saying, actually. But in terms of changing for us, right? Because as opposed to trying to change them, how can we affect change within our communities and within the individuals within our communities to then get to a place where we can challenge the status quo of what's been presented to us?
Well, I think we have to do what some people are doing, just in larger numbers. So, like, Jalen Rose's, Puffy or Diddy, LeBron's, like, you're building your own schools, what I'm saying, in your communities. What I'm saying, you're not going and building private schools in the suburbs, like you're building them I'll take LeBron's program because I'm more familiar with it. So like his program houses kids. He pretty much provides, like, he's partnered with Walmart. He provides everything they need for school, 3 meals plus an after school for parents who work late. And then he also provides like a GED program and clothing and housing. And also provides, I believe he has a housing facility as well as a medical facility where they can go and get treatment and all this other stuff in the inner city. So, what I'm saying, on that, you have, obviously he's a billionaire, so he has the money and the reach and the power to do these things, whether it's his own money or his foundations and fundraiser or whatever the case may be. I think on the flip side of that, I think you have to kind of just look at history. And as I had mentioned before, like, these folks were willing to storm the Capitol building solely for not liking something. Nothing actually happened. So if you just look back at like the Montgomery, like the bus boycotts. So when you look back at history, it's pretty much like, yo, these dudes were like, we ain't riding the bus for over a year.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And then all of a sudden, segregation, through the bus companies is deemed unconstitutional and stuff like that. But to me, even though you might not have the financial backing, I think you have to look at your actual financial power. We might not have all of the money the way white folks have it, but we spend, and a lot of the trend and the way that money is spent is catered towards us. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you think about music, it's our music that really makes stuff go that white people love. So I think we just have to take control of that and not necessarily always feel like, we've got to put money. Sometimes it's pulling your money back and just keeping it,
Right.
like, nah, I'm not putting it here. I'm putting it here. Or like, I'm not riding, referring back in the day, like, nah, we ain't riding the bus. But you also have to be willing and disciplined to be like, I'm walking to work every day for the next year.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you don't have that type of commitment, then you really won't really be able to do too much. Or even people like Jay Morrison, you know what I'm saying, who has like the largest Black crowd fund ever, you know what I'm saying, in the Tulsa real estate fund. Like, dude is building, well, he built his own Black house in Atlanta where he has mad stuff. Like, movie studios and all whatever, or like Tyler Perry builds his own thing. Like I think once you can get into certain spaces and provide your own for your own people, then that can change things, which is also why I like the idea of, LeBron talking about owning sports teams, and, a lot of the players talking about, yo, we want to own sports teams and doing stuff and getting stake in that, which I'm kind of upset Jordan sold his stake, and
Oh, and
of
Charlotte.
ownership, yeah, for Charlotte, because it's like, yo, you was the one black dude that was up there holding it down.
Right.
So, you know what I'm saying? Like, and on top of that, you're Michael Jordan, so you have the influence. So, I mean, I just think one, I think withholding certain things, and that also goes to the vote. Like, sometimes it's just a matter of just withholding your vote for certain stuff too. Because now that I think about it, like even when we vote, a lot of the time it's voting for the lesser of two evils. When in reality, I look at it like maybe we should just be withholding our vote
Altogether.
altogether.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's a great point.
You know what I'm saying? So,
Speaking to your point again, Ma, about money being the catalyst for change. If I can offer
Mhm.
an argument in terms of suggesting that I feel like money for our community specifically is a pacifier to Black nationalism. If you look at our white counterparts, a lot of them are inherently nationalistic, in which they'll champion America, or like the insurgents at the Capitol, they were riding hard, you know what I'm saying, for whatever their cause was, where you don't really see a lot of that within our communities, because once we get a dollar, because we've been starved for so long of, real economic power, once we get a dollar, we fall back. You know what I'm saying? That's their problem. If it's not on my doorstep, I don't care about it. So over the years, our fire, so to speak, has been almost lessened to an ember, basically, because of the new opportunities that we've been shown, and the new avenues that we've been shown to get money. So we're really not concerned too much with the Black plight, or things of that nature, because we just have regressed from being nationalistic within our own culture.
So the nationalism part, a lot of it ties also into religion, because of the fact that when we were brought over here, we were clearly indoctrinated with the white man's Bible and everything that was within it, and we had to now create our own form of spirituality and religion within the context of being a slave in America,
Right.
or being enslaved in America. So having that type of start, if you will, because when you go to the castle in
I think it was Ghana.
in Ghana, you literally will see where they separate the women from the men, and when the women's quarters, there's a ladder that took them up to a room with a bed, a priest, and a Bible. So not only were they raped before going onto the ships, you what you saying a prayer over me? Like if you look back at some African history and a lot of the wars that went on between, like, Portugal and Spain and some of the kingdoms within Africa, you see that they literally thought of us as savages.
Yeah.
Because of the way that we tilled the ground and the way we communed with one another. We were savages to them. And I really feel that as of September 2023, they still consider us savages. Because if you look at Trump, going back to Trump, and how he demonized the exonerated five when they were kids.
Right.
They were kids.
Mhm.
And he demonized them and he called for their death. Now he's he was the same one telling the entire world when he was running to lock Hillary Clinton up. But then the tables turned. It was like, ha, joke's on you. We're locking you up, because he thought there's a level of ignorance and naivety, if you will. Not even naivety, ignorance and arrogance, where they think that they can say, do whatever, and there's not going to be any type of repercussion.
Right.
Because you got to get these gaboons in line and get these niggas in check.
Well, when you couple white ignorance with black ignorance, right? And to your point, because and ignorance specifically to history, right? So if you couple white ignorance to black history, and even black people's ignorance to their own history, you're saying, they still view us as savages, which I'm in full agreement with. The ironic thing is, we brought civilization to Europe, or to
we know.
White people.
But no one in schools are taught that. No
Right,
one
exactly.
in schools are taught that. And the fact that they're literally trying to make it illegal for you to teach, how crazy is it that your history and your past is so heinous that you want to prevent people from learning about it?
And European history is the epitome of savage.
But you see how the narrative was so strategically done,
right?
Through media, through Jim Crow, through redlining, through black codes. Right. All of these things were done strategically so that they could put us in a position to where we are now crabs in a barrel, scrapping their survive, trying to get out of the muck and the mire, so that when we try to achieve more than just what was given to us, or what we were allowed to get, then it's just like, oh yeah, look, I told you, look at them. They can't even get along. Look at them. They're always fighting each other. They stink. They're lazy. They don't work. Yet all of these stereotypes that they have about us, but it clearly fits them. Like, it's stink, because they don't even wash with washcloths, but we stink. We will literally work to death, but we lazy. You understand what I'm saying? The juxtaposition of how they made it. They're gaboons, they're lazy. We were literally whipped and working at the same time.
Especially in Florida recently, when all the immigrants and stuff were striking or not working or whatever, and it was just like, yo, who's gonna do this job? Like, and the white people didn't do it.
White people did the job for one day. They was like, well, I need disability. I got this ain't gonna work.
Good.
Like, they were like, my arm hurt, my back hurt. I think I got carpal tunnel.
Doctor said I need a mechanic.
You know what I'm saying? But we had to do it for free in the hot sun. But we lazy. We don't want to get up off our butts and work.
So if we have closing remarks on this topic specifically, if we to circle back to Trump and this idea, this dude shouldn't even be running, especially when you hold it up to people that have gone through the same things and have been charged with the same things and aren't even.
Boom, check it. Polling show that more people support him now that he's gotten indicted. After that mugshot, more people support him and his quest to be president again in 2024. The fact that he was impeached twice. He literally lied almost every day in the White House. He caused an insurrection. He was just like, he tried to steal votes. I just need you to give me 11,780 votes. That's all I need. And then we win. I need you to find me some votes. And then we win.
He's
And
obviously
now,
wrong. I just want to say that him lying in the White House is like the standard for the White House.
yeah, but there's he takes it to
Yeah,
a
but
new
nah,
level
he went.
because he
Yeah,
didn't even
he
want to
went.
read. He
Yeah,
didn't
He
even
went
want to
to a
read.
new level.
That
Like
dude-
it's just different with him. Like he was doing stuff where it's like, yo, this dude got in office and literally was just executive ordering everything, bro.
Everything.
Like,
First of all, when he would go and stay at he would go wherever throughout the country and stay at Trump hotels so that the government was now paying the bill to him. That is illegal within itself, and he got away with it. He literally, because he had to pay for himself, he had to pay for all the Secret Service to stay at the hotel, all of his staffers to stay at the hotel. But he was staying at a Trump-owned establishment. How crooked and corrupt! But see, that's what I'm saying. You could, it's black, it's white, it's dusty.
but he knew that because he was on. Like, I'll give him this: the dude definitely be lying and is wild, but he was 100% honest when he said a few things like, "Yo, if I ran, I would just be a Republican because them dudes are stupid and believe anything, and as long as you with them, they just do whatever you want to do." And then two, just the whole idea of I'll basically do whatever I want and nobody's gonna do anything about it. Like I still like I'm not gonna believe that dude is going to jail until he's in like until I actually get like a picture or proof of something of him behind bars holding the bar or something. Like I just I don't know. There's just too much like leisure activity. Like, yeah, he could just come and turn himself in here, whatever. Like,
He
yo,
has
dude,
2 weeks to turn himself in.
you know what I'm saying? Like, and this dude is chilling over here and is doing this, and it's just like, to me, it's an embarrassment. Not, I don't feel embarrassed by it, but I feel like America, you know what I'm saying, as the country, it's just like, yo, what do you like? Y'all dudes is making yourself look bad, son. Like, in an extreme way. Because when you look at the way other countries are moving right now, the way that America is doing stuff just doesn't fit with the way like Africa and Russia and all those countries are like continents and stuff are coming together like, yo, we're moving this, we've got a plan, we're going in this direction. Other countries are like, yo, we're preparing our kids for war and training them up to be ninjas and it's just like, yo, what are we doing?
And
Like,
we worried about what's your pronoun?
you know what I'm saying? Like we're just as a
We
whole not on the
ass
right
backwards
page.
with
Like we
everything.
just
Ass backwards with everything. It's disgusting because people laugh at Americans. They're like, Americans are so stupid.
Stay tuned for scenes from the next episode of Up for Debate.
So we don't strive to be us, if that makes sense. We strive to be someone else. Because
in a
what?
sense, that's actually kind of changed. I feel like the standard for beauty
Is now us, but
yes.
in a white.
exactly
But-
is
In a white
us
body.
in a lighter shade.